There comes a moment when you realize that it is not life that exhausts you, but your resistance to it. You wake each day carrying invisible weight, reacting to words, events, and expectations as if they were personal attacks. The mind moves faster than reality, imagining losses before they arrive and replaying wounds long after they have passed. This is not weakness. It is the condition of an untrained mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Most people read this and nod, yet continue living as if every emotion is commanded by the world outside them. They believe peace is granted by circumstances, respect by others, and stability by control. Stoicism begins where this belief ends. There is a quiet awakening when you notice that chaos does not enter your life by force. It is invited through interpretation. The same event that shatters one person leaves another untouched. The difference is not luck or temperament, but discipline of thought. Stoicism does not promise comfort. It offers clarity. It does not remove hardship. It removes unnecessary suffering. When the inner world is governed, the outer world loses its power to dominate. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery. What follows is not a method to escape life, but a way to stand firmly within it. 6 principles, ancient and unchanging, that teach the mind how to remain untouched without becoming closed. These 6 Stoic principles are not techniques to feel good. They are disciplines to remain steady. If practiced, they will not make life easier, but they will make you unshakable. You will learn how to meet insult without collapse, loss without panic, uncertainty without fear, and success without arrogance. Each principle builds upon the last, moving from control of perception to freedom from fear. They are not abstract ideas meant for contemplation alone. They are practical orientations of the mind, refined by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus through lived experience, not theory. Do not rush through them. Stoicism is not consumed quickly. It is absorbed slowly. These principles are meant to be carried, tested, and returned to when the world presses in. By the end, the aim is simple. Nothing external gains authority over your inner state again. Stoic Principle 1. The first Stoic principle is this: control what belongs to you, release what does not. Epictetus stated it plainly when he said that some things are in our power and others are not. Most suffering begins when this boundary is ignored. Consider a common moment. Someone speaks harshly to you. Instantly, the mind moves to defense. You feel tension, offense, and the urge to correct their view. Yet their words were never yours to control. What belongs to you is only your judgment of them. Imagine a ship crossing rough water. The captain cannot command the sea, but he can govern the vessel. Rage at the storm does nothing. Skillful steering determines survival. Your mind is the ship. The Stoic understands that emotional disturbance is often a sign of misplaced responsibility. You feel burdened because you are carrying what was never assigned to you. Opinions, outcomes, and other people's behavior exist beyond your command. Inner strength grows the moment you stop arguing with reality. You acknowledge events as they are, not as you wish them to be. From this acceptance, action becomes clear and calm. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would meet difficult people, and that their nature was not his concern. This expectation did not harden him, it freed him. When you stop demanding control where none exists, peace becomes possible. Stoic Principle 2. The second principle teaches the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is immediate, emotional, and unexamined. Response is deliberate, measured, and chosen. Stoicism lives in this pause. When something unexpected occurs, the mind rushes to label it as good or bad. This judgment feels automatic, yet it is learned. Seneca warned that we are often harmed not by events, but by our quick conclusions about them. Imagine dropping a valuable object. One person curses and spirals into frustration. Another simply retrieves it and continues. The event was identical. The interpretation was not. Stoicism trains the mind to delay judgment. Between stimulus and action lies a moment of freedom. In that space, you decide what meaning to assign. This is not suppression of feeling. It is governance of it. Marcus Aurelius practiced reminding himself that external events carry no moral weight. They are neutral until the mind declares otherwise. When you internalize this, emotional storms shorten. You feel, but you are not carried away. The disciplined response does not seek revenge, validation, or immediate relief. It seeks alignment with reason. Over time, this practice reshapes character. Others may remain reactive, you remain composed. This is power without aggression, control without force. When reaction ends, choice begins. Stoic Principle 3. The third principle is preparation for hardship. Stoics do not hope for ease, they prepare for difficulty. Seneca advised rehearsing adversity in advance, not to dwell in fear, but to weaken its shock. Most people suffer twice, first in imagination, then in reality. The Stoic reverses this. He imagines hardship calmly so that reality arrives lighter. Consider two identities. One expects comfort and feels betrayed by struggle. The other expects challenge and feels ready when it appears. The event is the same, the experience is not. Life does not promise fairness, stability, or permanence. Expecting otherwise creates fragile identity. When hardship arrives, the unprepared feels singled out. The Stoic feels initiated. This does not mean seeking pain or denying joy. It means understanding the nature of existence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that loss, illness, and death were not exceptions, but natural processes. Mental preparation builds resilience. When difficulty appears, you recognize it as familiar. You do not panic, you respond with discipline. By expecting hardship, you remove its power to surprise you. By accepting it as part of life, you remove its ability to define you. Strength grows quietly through this orientation. Stoic Principle 4. The fourth principle is detachment from outcome. Stoicism values effort over result. You are responsible for your actions, not their final form. Seneca cautioned against tying peace to success, for success depends on forces beyond reason. Picture an archer releasing an arrow. He controls his stance, breath, and aim. Once released, the wind decides the rest. Anxiety about the target after release is useless. Most unrest comes from confusing effort with outcome. You work honestly, yet demand a specific result. When reality diverges, frustration follows. The Stoic separates these domains. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to act with justice and let consequences unfold. This detachment does not weaken effort, it purifies it. When you act without attachment, action becomes focused and calm. Failure loses its sting, success loses its arrogance. Both become information, not identity. This principle frees you from emotional dependence on results. You show up fully, then release control. Over time, this creates quiet confidence. You know your worth is located in effort, not applause. The mind rests when it no longer negotiates with outcomes. You act, you release, you remain steady. Stoic Principle 5. The fifth principle returns the mind to the present. Anxiety lives in imagined futures. Regret lives in constructed pasts. Stoicism anchors attention where action is possible. Epictetus taught that suffering often comes from wanting what is not here. The present moment, when examined honestly, is rarely unbearable. It becomes heavy only when layered with imagined outcomes. Consider how tension arises. The body is safe, yet the mind travels forward, predicting harm or backward, replaying error. The Stoic gently returns attention to what is occurring now. This is not denial of planning or reflection. It is refusal to live mentally where no action exists. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to confine attention to the task at hand. Presence creates calm, not through force, but through clarity. When the mind stops running, the body follows. Breath steadies. Thought sharpens. By practicing presence, you reduce unnecessary suffering. You meet life as it is, not as feared or remembered. Over time, anxiety loosens its grip. The Stoic stands firmly in the present, where strength is always available. Stoic Principle 6. The final principle is acceptance of impermanence. Everything that begins will end. Stoicism does not soften this truth. It teaches you to stand within it. Fear grows from attachment to permanence. You cling to roles, relationships, and conditions as if they were guaranteed. When change threatens them, panic follows. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on death, not to despair, but to awaken appreciation and courage. When you accept impermanence, you stop bargaining with reality. Loss becomes painful, but not devastating. Change becomes challenging, but not terrifying. You understand that nothing was promised to last. This acceptance brings emotional reassurance. You stop demanding security from unstable ground. You build stability within character instead. Freedom from fear arises when you no longer argue with endings. You meet them with dignity. You grieve without collapse. You continue without bitterness. Impermanence teaches gratitude without attachment. You appreciate fully, knowing departure is natural. The Stoic is not untouched because nothing changes. He is untouched because he expects change. These 6 principles are not shields against life. They are foundations beneath it. When practiced together, they create a mind that remains steady regardless of external movement. You are not meant to be unaffected because you are indifferent. You are unaffected because you are disciplined. Your peace does not come from avoidance, but from understanding. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while preparing for death. Seneca advised power while accepting exile. Epictetus taught freedom while once enslaved. Their strength was not circumstance, but inner command. Carry this identity quietly. You are not reactive, you are not fragile, you are not dependent on approval, outcome, or certainty. When life presses, you do not resist blindly. You observe, decide, and act. When loss arrives, you grieve with measure. When success appears, you accept without attachment. This is Stoic strength. Calm, grounded, unshakable. If these words align with something already forming within you, remain on this path. Return to these principles when the world grows loud. Support this work if it's true by clicking the like and subscribe button, and continue forward with discipline and quiet resolve.